What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you come into the channel and check out the content. I'm going to do a quick mic test before let me see. All right, cool. Sound is good, right? And yeah, man, this is a special edition of my live show. I usually don't do live shows like throughout the week because of work. But today I just decided to come on and shoot the breeze while I watch basketball. Let me see the Lynx right now. The Lynx, Minnesota Lynx are playing the New York Liberty. And it's turning out to be a good game. Right now, the score is Minnesota 62 and New York 71. Now, Minnesota was down when I first turned it on, like around in the third quarter. Minnesota was down by like about 14 points, but now they closed the lead. They down like 8 now, so it's turning out to be a pretty good game. Now, from what I can see, just watching the Lynx and the Liberty go at it, I'm thinking that if the Lynx and the Liberty were to meet up like in the championship again, I'm thinking it's still gonna go the Liberty way. I don't know if the Lynx got enough firepower to get past the Liberty, and they're losing now. The Lynx are losing now to the Liberty, and Breonna Stewart not even playing. So, man, I don't know if they got enough firepower, but that's not what I really came on here to talk about. I came on here really to talk about a few things, some other things that I had gone over that was in the news, right? And so some of what I'm gonna cover this evening is I'm gonna talk about Angel Reese and how some people are accusing Angel Reese of chasing the bag. They say that she feels like her brand is more important than her basketball career. Stephanie White talk about, get into like her basketball career. Jonathan Kuminga, I'm gonna talk, about Jonathan Kuminga and really, about his situation in Golden State. Luka gave the Lakers a scare, right? Jim, what's going on, Jim? Welcome to the chat. Yeah, let me see what you say, Jim. Gotta remember, this year the finals are the best of 7. Yeah, you know what? And I think that, like I said, if there was a rematch between the Lynx and the Liberty, I think it might go 7. But I'm looking, it's looking, as far as I'm concerned, it look like the Liberty are a little bit more, they got a little bit more firepower than what the Lynx have. The Lynx are having a good season, but the Liberty just had that 3-headed monster with Sabrina Ionescu, Jonquel Jones, and then Breonna Stewart. She'll most likely be back before hopefully before the playoffs even start, right? So, that's just my assessment on the situation. But let me get into this right, and I want to talk about Angel Reese and her career as Jason Whitlock sees it, right? Jason Whitlock, I was watching Jason Whitlock podcast, and Jason Whitlock said that he don't think that Angel Reese she's focused on basketball. Like she's more interested in growing her brand than she is, committed to the basketball team. And I just wanted to give like a different take on that. Because it might be true. Maybe Angel Reese is more focused on her brand than she is her basketball career. And to me, that's not anything new. There have been players in the past that have been, like players go where the money take them. And I used the example of when the USFL, I think it was in the 80s, the USFL started a football league. And a lot of those college players, the college superstars, was coming out of college, and instead of going to the NFL, they decided to go to the USFL because that's where the money was, right? And so you couldn't really fault them because it was more money in there. And so with Angel Reese, and if she wants to pursue her brand, she's going to go where the money is. The like she for the Chicago Sky, I think she get paid something like what, $87,000 a year. She has brand deals that pay her six figures, maybe even seven figures. So she's quite naturally, in my opinion, I think that Angel Reese is probably going to be more, she's going to be more inclined to chase those larger deals. Now, her basketball career is what makes her relevant. So she'll probably, it's not like she'll quit basketball and then go and play, or go pursue her other business deals. Because if it wasn't for basketball, she she definitely wouldn't have these other deals on the table. So she still has to play basketball. But you really can't blame her for chasing that bag and trying to make her money. Another thing you have to consider, WNBA basketball players up until recently haven't really had there was not a lot of opportunity for them to make money with like endorsements and other things. So that the way they made money was basically by going over to Europe, going over to in other countries and just playing basketball. Donna Taurasi in her latest documentary said that she used to go to Russia and play basketball, and she kind of, I don't know if she regretted it, but she kind of like had some resentment about that situation because she said she looked up and one day her mother was old. And so for these WNBA players to go overseas and play basketball and spend so much time away from their families, it's hard on them. And now with social media, and the league is now more popular than it's been, you know, there's opportunities for a lot of these young ladies to stay home and make money. So, you really can't blame them. If Donna Taurasi had the same opportunities that Angel Reese, Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, and all, believe me, she would have taken advantage of it. She would not have wanted to go to Russia, every year and play basketball over there. That's to me, that just seems like that's a tough way to pursue your dream of being a professional basketball player. So is Angel Reese, in my opinion, is she chasing the bag as far as like, yeah, I think she is. But can you blame her for really, going out and making the most of what she can, with her endorsements and her brand deals? You really can't, because they really not making a lot of money in the WNBA. So, I don't fault her for that. It's, as a fan, we definitely want to see athletes who are really like dedicated to the game. Somebody like Kobe Bryant. This guy was a gym rat. Who else? Like Tom Brady. Like Tom Brady, Kobe Bryant. Michael Jordan. Like these guys really, they eat, sleep, and drink their sport, right? But because these young ladies don't have the opportunity to make the kind of money that the men made, they can't really, they can't really focus solely on their sport. And you got to remember also, this is a new era. Like this is a social media era. Who's to say that if social media was around when Michael Jordan was playing basketball, maybe he would have been doing other things, which I doubt, and Kobe too. But this is just a new era, and like we see these kids cultivating their brands and making money off the field, trying to make as much money as they can, and so we don't fault owners for making as much money as they can. So, I really can't fault Angel Reese either for really basically just chasing the bag, not leaving any money on the table, and you know, just doing what she can do to what's the young lady Donna Taurasi said, to really to try to to capture that generational wealth. You know, you don't. She wouldn't want to be in a situation where she looked back and she didn't take advantage of the opportunities that was presented to her, and she felt like, she left money on the table. Another person, what was a young lady who played for? She played for the Sparks for a little while. She was real tall. What was her name? Liz Cambridge, right? She even left the WNBA. Now she left. Some people say that she's a what is it? A OF model. Now I wouldn't recommend being an OF model, but my point is, there's just there's so many other things that these women can do now to make money outside of basketball. So when their loyalty shifts, it's because of the money. They following the money. And so that's why, I just wanted to add a different perspective on that. I know that Jason Whitlock, said that, well, Angel Reese she's not really dedicated to basketball. Um, she's more so dedicated to, her brand. But you can't really blame her. She don't, you don't want her to leave money on the table. You want her to make as much money as she can before her career is over with. And like I said, $78,000 is really not a whole lot of money, uh, you know, for a professional athlete. So that's how I felt about that one. Now, my next story up is let me see, Coach Stephanie White. Right. And a lot of people say that Coach Stephanie White right now is in a position now where she is coaching to save her job, to save her position with the Indiana Fever. And I I think so too. I think Stephanie White right now is just trying to, she's in a position where she's trying to save her future, save her coaching job in Indiana. If the Fever don't make the playoffs this year, it could be a situation where they, move on from Stephanie White. We saw her break down at the end of the last game with, she was in the locker room. We saw her break down. I think they beat Connecticut that game. They beat the Connecticut Suns. And in that game against the Connecticut Suns, they were down like about, I think about 17, 18 points they were down, and they fought their way back thanks to Kelsey Mitchell. They fought their way back, took it into overtime, and eventually they won. And so Stephanie White was pretty emotional in the locker room. And a lot of people seem to think that it was because of the heroic comeback of the game. But I think that it is I think it's a combination of things. I think it's because of the pressure and everything that she's faced throughout the year, this season. I think that she also heard it, like the criticism and things that's going on. So I think it just was a combination of things. I just don't think it was about, them winning that game and her being proud of, what the team did. It was that too. But if the team was playing up to their potential, in my opinion, they would have never even been in that situation. So let me see what Jim said. She does have to fall back on an excuse that they had all of those injuries. Yeah, she could fall back on that, right? That she had the injuries, right? But then also this brings up another situation too, right, Jim? Because not only did she could fall back on that excuse for the injuries, but what if Caitlin Clark is not happy with like the direction that the team is going in? And I've heard other people speak about this. Like if Caitlin Clark is not happy, Caitlin Clark could, if she wanted to, have Stephanie White moved out of there. I could see a situation where that would happen. That has happened before, with other basketball coaches. Let me see. Jason Whitlock called Michael in his podcast. He called Michael Jordan a coach killer, which I don't think Michael Jordan is a coach killer. I didn't see him as a coach killer. I thought LeBron James was a coach killer. He got, let me see. He got, what was the guy named? Block, the Russian guy. He got him fired. I think he got Mike. What was it? What was Mike name? Moore. I think Mike Moore. He got him killed. I mean, not killed. He got him fired a couple times in in Cleveland. Let me see. Who was the guy who coached that when he first got to the Lakers? He got two Lakers coaches fired. He got Ham. He ran Ham out. Donovan. He got Ham ran out of there. And who else he got ran out of there? But yeah, I never saw Michael Jordan as a coach killer. I more so thought it was LeBron James because if LeBron James is not happy with you, he'll get you run out of there. Let me see. Stephanie Cunningham is done for the season after her injury. Yeah, I know that's sad. So you got Caitlin Clark out. Ari McDonald was out because of injury. I forgot the other young lady who got hurt the same time Ari McDonald got hurt, but she's out. And now you have Sophie Cunningham who's out. What's good? What's good, Kent? Welcome to the chat. You know what? During the season, I was kind of coming around when it came to Stephanie White. Especially when they were on their winning streak. I think they won 5 in a row, and they had won like 8 out of 11 at one point in time. But because it looked like that the Indiana Fever was like turning the corner. They was developing a chemistry. But then some of the decisions that Stephanie White made after that, bringing in guards off of the street and trying to throw them into the mix like they would be able to pick up and maintain and maintain everything that was going on before they got there. You just really can't bring in guards off the street and think that they're going to be able to maintain. It's just not going to work. So that's why I started to question her decisions again. And now, like I said, she's on a hot seat through no fault of her own. But even when Ari McDonald got hurt, I think that they had some games that they could have won, that they should have won. I think that they should have beat the Mystics when they beat the Mystics. There was some rumors going around at the time that Caitlin Clark might be coming back around that time. So a lot of people thought that they pushed Caitlin Clark's return back because of the schedule. You got you have the Dallas Wings, which I thought they should have beat them. Then you had the Mystics, and after the Mystics, then you had Connecticut Suns. So those are 3 teams that I thought that the Indiana Fever should have beat without Caitlin Clark. And then you have these injuries, and you have the Sophie Cunningham injury though is really that's like the straw, in my opinion. That's like the straw that broke the camel back. As far as it'll be a miracle, in my opinion, if they are able to get into the playoffs. In my opinion, I just think it'll be a miracle. Let me see. CC can't be happy with the offensive direction Stephanie White coaches. Yeah, I don't think so. I think that I think Stephanie White she overthought the situation. She had a big 3. She had Caitlin Clark, she had Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston. So that's a big 3. Most teams in the WNBA are not even in a position where as though they have a big 3. The team right now I'm watching the Liberty play the Lynx, and they have a big 3. They have Jonquel Jones, they have Sabrina Ionescu, and they have Breanna Stewart. Breanna Stewart is out hurt, but most teams don't have the luxury of having a big 3 like that. And so that's why I just think that Stephanie White she overcoached. She should have been really focusing on allowing this team her big 3 to develop a chemistry, and the rest of the team, and just smoothing out some of the rough edges around them, and having the role players just adapt to their jobs. But that was, like I said, I just think that she overcoached them. Let me see. Carl Kent says that after what we see, no reason Caitlin Clark to save Stephanie. Uh, save her. A Viking. Hello, I'm pissed. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that and you know what? If Caitlin Clark was to or if they were going to get rid of Stephanie White, the fever was after this season, and Caitlin Clark didn't speak up to save her job, could you really fault Caitlin Clark for that? I mean, it's just it comes with the territory. When you have franchise ball players and they're not happy with the direction that the team is going. Giannis did it in Milwaukee, so superstar ball players, basketball players, they have that. Sometimes they have that kind of leverage, where as though they can make things like that happen. So, and I think if the Indiana Fever don't make it into the playoffs, yeah, this is really not going to, it's really not going to really look too good for Stephanie White. And so, that remains to be seen. I think now I'm looking. Let me see what their record is, and when the next time they play, because they I think they're on a 3-game losing streak too. WNBA standings. Let me see. All right, so Indiana Fever 19 wins and 16 losses. And then you still have to keep in mind Indiana Fever, like their record, I think from here on out, I mean their schedule from here on out is it's going to get a little bit harder. So, they have to take that into account too. And they fighting all these injuries. She is really going to have to she's really going to have to coach her A off, if you know what I mean. 19 wins, 16 losses. They still a little bit over 500. But to me, they lost 2 games last week that in my opinion that they should have won. Let me see. White and Amber and Cox, and this whole season now, all we want Caitlin to do is save their asses, right? That's a good point, Kent. Really, the only thing that really can save Stephanie White this season probably would be Caitlin Clark. Like if Stephanie White is on a hot seat, they don't make it to the playoffs. Caitlin Clark could go to bat for her, but who's to say that she would? So yeah, the Indiana Fever, they still in 3rd place, but the Mystics are like, breathing right down their neck. The Mystics are 16 wins and 18 losses, so they're breathing right down their neck. And so this will remain to be seen what's going to happen with them. Also, I don't know who this new point guard is, but the Fever brought in another point guard. Now this is legit. They really needed a point guard this time because so many people have went down. Let me see what Jim said. I'm headed to Minnesota this week. We're going to the Fever Lynx game on Sunday night. I don't know. It still should be a good game. I don't know, Jim. Your Lynx probably gonna blow them out. They short-handed. I don't think it's come to think of it. I don't think it'll be a good game. Let me see. The Lynx are, like I said, the Lynx are playing right now. What's the score? 75-82. New York is up by 7. The Liberty are up by 7 over the Minnesota Lynx right now, 75-82. And also don't forget the playoffs are going to be starting soon. So teams are gearing up for the playoffs. Everybody's trying to jockey for that, for the best seeding that they can get in the playoffs. So yeah, it's not really looking all that good as far as like the Indiana Fever. And is that all? There's only 30 seconds left in the game. Yeah, you're right. I got yes. Yep. Close to a minute. Sabrina Ionescu is at the free throw line. They up by 7. She got 16 points, 4 rebounds. I don't know how many. She just missed a free throw. Trying to see how many. Yeah, New York definitely going to win this. Jonquel Jones is, she looking pretty good, pretty healthy. And like I said, Breonna Stewart still on the sideline. You know what? The Liberty still been able to. Well, Atlanta now. I just noticed that the Atlanta Dream are in first place over the New York Liberty with 22. They got a 22-12 record. New York is 21-13. Let me see what my man Kent said. Urban, you see me enough try to take the middle of the road, but time for Caitlin to think about herself and the future. I get she wants to play, but long term, she has to think long term. And I agree with you, Kent, right? And you really, I'm with you. You gotta commend Caitlin Clark for being like a team player. She hasn't really caused any waves or anything. Everybody knows that Caitlin Clark, because she's a franchise ball player, the superstar ball player, knows that she has leverage. So she could have, shaken things up a lot earlier. But I think just because she's a team player and everything, I think that she didn't want to do that. She wanted to give Stephanie White's system a try, and it's not working. Now, had they not had those unfortunate injuries to Ari McDonald and the other young lady who got hurt, and Caitlin Clark would have came back, I still think that there would have been a time where Caitlin Clark would have been like, this is not, really, this is not conducive to what I can do out there. You're taking the ball out of my hand. I still think it would have came to that. And that right there was the leverage that Caitlin, that Stephanie White had. The fact that they had some success while Caitlin Clark wasn't there. But now it's all bets are off. Like I said, Caitlin Clark would be well within her rights to think of, to really think of what's best for her and what's best for her future. Like I said, other superstars and franchise ball players have done it. And so, it is what it is. But let me take a quick. I have a trivia question for anybody who think they know the answer to this, right? So, Bill Walton won the league MVP, but missed 22 games of the season because of what injury? What injury during Bill Walton's MVP season? What injury did he have that caused him to miss 22 games? Let me know if you're in the chat, if you find out. If you know, like I said, just put it in the chat. Try not to Google it. I know everybody want to go straight to Google. But let me see what Jim says. That you're right about that, Kent. Yeah. So yeah. So we're all in agreement that I just think, like I said, I keep going back to the point that Stephanie White just kind of outcoached herself, or overcoached the situation. You had the big three, just allow the big three to develop that chemistry. You've seen it so many times. You've seen it even when LeBron James went to Miami. That first year that him, Wade, and Bosh was together, they didn't. They need to just yeah, you're right, Jim. You're right. It was a foot. You know what? The thing about Bill Walton, right? That's a good guess. The thing about Bill Walton, man, he did have a broken foot, but Bill Walton, throughout the bulk of his career, he just had bad feet, and I think his bad feet kind of hampered him and slowed him down. I think he would have had an even better career if he didn't have those dogs wasn't messed up. But yeah, you're right on point with that one. He definitely had bad feet. Yeah, Bill Walton, man, and out of UCLA. So yeah, that was a good guess, though. You right on point with that. So yeah, man, I just think that Stephanie White overcoached the situation, and now you know I don't know now what is going to be like the team like what are they going to be rallying for now? If under any other circumstances, if you didn't have a franchise ball player on your team and your team took the kind of injuries that the Indiana Fever had taken, she would Stephanie White would be able to say, well, I deserve another chance, another bite at the apple you know, because of the injuries. But for what went on before the injuries and some of the decisions that she made after some of the injuries, I just think that I just think that it was a situation where she had to, she might have to go. They might have to go with somebody else. I'd be interested to see though who they would bring in, who would be the next coach. Some people think it should be a male coach. I think that if they could get somebody like Mark Jackson, that'd be cool. But not just any old, not a male coach for the sake of having a male coach, but just somebody who has experience with dealing or being around like top point guards. Mark Jackson was a great point guard in the NBA himself. I always say he was a great point guard. Or yeah, I think Mark Jackson would be a great coach for like the Indiana Fever and would be able to coach Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. You know, I think that'll be a good goal though. But all right, so I'm gonna come back to the Stephanie White situation a little bit, but I want to talk about Jonathan Kuminga and his situation in Golden State. So the Golden State Warriors, in my opinion, are of the belief that they don't really need Jonathan Kuminga. I think that Steve Kerr, and you could tell the way Steve Kerr has been coaching Jonathan and not really putting him in the game until they needed him, like last season throughout the playoffs. Once Steph Curry got hurt, they tried to turn to Jonathan Kuminga. But I think before then, I think that it was Jonathan Kuminga already had a sour taste in his mouth and wanted out of Golden State because of, like I said, how he was getting played in Golden State. I just think that Steve Kerr put all his eggs in that basket as far as when it came to his big three, Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, and Draymond. He's just gonna ride that until the wheels come off. So he wasn't really interested in developing Jonathan Kuminga or developing even Jordan Poole. When Jordan Poole was there, Jordan Poole got ran out of town by Draymond Green. Also, who else got ran out of town? I would say that Kevin Durant. So he was so dedicated to that big three. He's not really thinking about that. He wasn't really thinking about developing talent for the future. Let me see. Hard to say. CC been out. Ari and Sydney, and now Sophie. Let me see. What's all the plan for the plan for the start? What this all plan for the start? I don't know what the plan is for them for the future. Just basically, in my opinion, just to get the Indiana Fever healthy again. Basically, that's how I see it. Just basically, just for them to Caitlin Clark to get healthy. I wouldn't with the injuries that they had for the Indiana Fever and how short they are on talent. I would consider this to be like a wash. I wouldn't even risk bringing Caitlin Clark back. Like just let her now you is a situation where now you just want to make sure that Caitlin Clark is fully healthy because you don't want to cause, with the way this season has been going on, you don't want to get her back out there. She trying to help you make a playoff push, and then she's not healthy. I hate to see players get, like Ari McDonald and the girl Sydney and Sophie get hurt, right? But maybe this is a blessing in disguise, right? That they can just go ahead and just rest up everybody. Don't rush anybody back. Whatever happens for the rest of the season just happens. Try to keep Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston, try to keep them healthy. Try to keep everybody else on the team healthy. And if you get into the playoffs, cool. If not, then this just reload and come back for next year. So that's all I can say. Let me see what Ken said. You're correct. It's a wash. Just my opinion. Now, off topic. Yeah, I think it's a wash. I would not risk Caitlin Clark, even if they had a chance to go into the playoffs. I just wouldn't risk it. I wouldn't risk it because Sophie Cunningham is not there, so she's not going to have like her full complement of. Caitlin Clark's not going to have a full complement of weapons anyway. Yeah. So yeah, to me it's just a wash. Yeah. So let me see. Now back to what do y'all think about the situation with Jonathan Kuminga though? And do y'all think that I think it's just too much bad blood between Jonathan Kuminga and the Golden State Warriors, like the coaching staff, mainly Steve Kerr. Mainly Steve Kerr. I don't think that their relationship is really they don't have a good relationship at all. I think that Jonathan Kuminga was disappointed because he didn't get a lot of time, and he wasn't given the opportunity to develop his game. So now you have the Milwaukee Bucks they're showing some interest. Also, you had the Phoenix Suns, they're showing some interest, but it gotta be something where as though Golden State feel like they're gonna be able to get something out the deal too. You know, let me see what my man Jim says. Yeah, I don't see how Jonathan and Kerr can move forward. Yeah, man. I just think it's just too much bad blood there. And Steve Kerr is not mad. He's sitting on 4 championship rings. And how could you blame him for being loyal to his big three? The big three won him 4 championship rings. Well, they won the Golden State Warriors, they won 4 championship rings. But I still think that, and when Steve Kerr leave there, when Steph Curry leave there, I think Steve Kerr probably going to retire anyway. So he's probably not even really concerned with like what goes on as far as the future is concerned with the Golden State Warriors. All right, so I'm let me see. No more WNBA on for this evening. Let me see. Yeah. So yeah, the Lynx won. The Lynx lost to the Liberty. No more WNBA for tonight. Not that I can see. But yeah, so yeah, it's just too much bad blood. Hopefully, Jonathan Kuminga though, he goes somewhere. Well, he'll be able to fit in and help a team out. I said in a video earlier that Jonathan Kuminga is not a number 1 or a number 2. It's on a championship team. He's not a number 1 or number 2. So if he goes somewhere, I think he will fit in pretty good at Milwaukee as a third option. And also for the Dallas Mavericks, I think he'll fit in for them like as a third, maybe a fourth option. But I know Jonathan Kuminga, he want to, he want to make that money. He want to get to the bag. But I don't know if teams around the league see him as a number 2. I'm sure pretty sure they don't see him as a number 1. But I'm sure he might see himself as a number 1 or number 2. But I think his skill set, in the half court, he's good as a slasher. But his half court game, I don't think he creates for himself like that. He needs a point guard who can run that offense and get him his shots in rhythm and develop a chemistry where as though they'll be able to keep that rhythm in their offense. He need a really good point guard that to help him with his game. And so yeah, that's what I think about that. Let me see. Let me see what else I got in here on the docket. Oh, Luka. Luka had a injury scare like a couple days ago. Luka was playing basketball with his international team, his home country team, and one of the players rolled up on his knee, and Luka immediately had to, he immediately left the game. But they say the injury is not really, it's not anything serious. But I know that really scared the hell out of Lakers and Lakers fans, man. Like Luka now he's the face of the league. He's the face of not the league, but he's the face of their organization. And it just would have been terrible luck for Luka to get hurt. After you see Luka, right after the season, Luka lost weight. Now he's working out and he in the gym. I'm assuming because he's in the gym that he's eating the way he's supposed to eat. Hopefully he's staying away from the alcohol. They said that was an issue for him. But yeah, that was a big scare for the Lakers for Luka to be out there and somebody roll up on his knee. But my question to you all is, do you think that the Lakers should limit the amount or limit Luka from playing in the offseason? To me, I would say no. I don't think the Lakers should limit Luka from playing. He's playing against other professional basketball players, so he can get in shape and come back, better than he was last year. I think Luka's really going to be. I'm looking forward to. I think Luka he's going to tear the league up this year. With his he's dedicated. Just imagine if Luka if he won a couple rings with the Lakers, man. I would that make Luka a Laker more so than a Maverick? I think it would. Because if you think about it, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar came from the Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, he came from Milwaukee. Shaq came from Orlando and was a Laker. So I'm thinking that if Luka win a ring or two, LA would definitely see Luka as a Laker. So what's LA still needs a impact big. Yeah, that's true. They need an impact big, but I don't know if there are any impact bigs around, number one. And then number two, you have Andre, what's his name? Andre Ayton. So you got Andre Ayton. I think he's serviceable and a pretty good defensive ball player. He'll protect the rim and he'll be able to give Luka some help as far as like at the defense. And with Andre Ayton, I'm not really concerned with his buckets and stuff like that. But as long as you play defense and protect that rim, because everybody know that defense is not Luka's strong point. Maybe he'll probably be a little bit better this year because he's in better shape, but it still won't hurt to have a show enough rim protector like Andre Ayton back there, to when Luka take chances or he would go for a steal or something, or if somebody just so happened to get past Luka, which in years past that happened pretty often. So Andre Ayton will be back there to protect that rim a little bit better than what they had before. I think they need more athleticism around Luka, guys who can slash, and they need more shooters. Also, they need more shooters around Luka. Let me see who's the guy. Reese, right? I like Reese, and I like Dalton Connect. I want to see Dalton Connect really like step his game up more. I think playing with LeBron James kind of hurt Dalton's hurt his confidence. I think when playing with LeBron James as a rookie kind of made him hesitant to want to shoot the ball or do what he feel like he can do. So hopefully, I just hope that Dalton Connect. 'Cause to me, I like Dalton Connect. I think he's better than Austin Reeves, or not really better right now, but I think his ceiling, to me, seems like it could be higher than what Austin Reeves is. And so this year I'm looking for Dalton Connect really to step up. Even though LeBron James will still be there, everybody know LeBron James on his way out, right? So that's what I'm looking for from Dalton Connect. And like I said, put some more shooters around Luka. But Luka look good, man. Luka look good. I'm not a Laker fan though, but when you see somebody dedicated to the game like that, man, that just, as a fan, it just gets the fan base more excited and more revved up. And so this a good look for Luka and the Lakers. So it's good that Luka he's not hurt. Yeah, they do need an impact ball player. I agree with you 100%, Jim. And yeah, man, I just decided to come on this evening. I might come on. I might try to come on every night and do a live. Also, come on with like a basketball trivia question, just to test everybody's basketball knowledge. And then once we get to the point where we got some people on here who think that they know about basketball, then we can, even have some fun with people, with your basketball knowledge, and maybe play some games and even have some prizes and stuff like that going on though. But yeah, I think I do want to come on uh, every night and do this, and do a live. So, but yeah, let me know if anybody have any more questions or any last statements before I get out of here. Right, like I said, do you think that Angel Reese put her brand before the team? That was like the first thing that I talked about. And is that wrong for Angel Reese to put her brand before the team? The second topic was Stephanie White being on the hot seat. Is she on the hot seat in your opinion, or do you think she deserved to be on the hot seat? The third topic was Jonathan Kuminga and him, his situation that's going on with the Golden State Warriors. I think right now it's just basically with Jonathan Kuminga, it's all about what kind of deal, Golden State can get for him. But he basically, in my opinion, he out of there. And then the last topic was Luka Doncic, almost getting hurt in the game. I forgot the country that Luka come from, but he almost got hurt. Far as I know, they say it wasn't serious. I think the Lakers fan base is going to be, they're pretty excited about looking forward to what Luka going to do this year. I'm like I said, I'm not even a Laker fan either though. But like I said, I'm looking forward to seeing Luka this season, and seeing what Luka can do. But that's basically all I have for this evening. I appreciate everybody. Kent, I appreciate you. Your input. Jim, I appreciate you and your input. Jim, I got to get some tougher questions. So tomorrow I'm gonna come back with a tougher trivia question, tougher basketball trivia question. But so yeah, look for me tomorrow around 8:30 p.m. around the same time. And also, like I said, appreciate everybody who watched and make sure to like and subscribe. Getting close to 11,000 subscribers. So if you haven't already subscribed, make sure to like and subscribe. I appreciate it. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I will see you all tomorrow around 8:30 p.m. Peace.